right, it is either 10:05 or 10:06 for Monday or Tuesday. And at this time, you should be seated. Grab your binder, seated and working on the warm-ups that are listed here on the screen. So that would be pages 47 through 53 that we already read. That is in your binder under the warm-ups section, and also pages 51 through 62. So if you would star those so you know which ones to do once I leave this screen, and working through 47 through 53 in warm-ups and 51 through 62. And I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and then we will also discuss those pages. So go ahead, put today's date, 10:05 or 10:06, next to the pages that I had mentioned. Let me find my timer here. Screen, here we are. Okay, so again, finding pages. Let's go back. 47 through 53 and 51 through 62. I will start the timer if it ever gets that far. Okay, still going. Wonder what picture will pop up. All right, here we go. Go ahead and begin. 1, 2, 3. We'll do about 4 minutes. So again, 47 through 53 and 51 through 62. So by now, you should be able to answer page 47 through 53. It says, Coach Carter's team is heading into its first game. How do you think the game will go for them? Will they follow Coach Carter's game plan, and why? Okay, so you kind of know already because we read that already. So you know what happened and why did it happen. Use the following sentence structure for your response. I predict that blah, 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 they will win the game because, tell why you think that they'll win the game, because you kind of know that they did against the Hercules team. Then pages 51 through 62. For the underlined vocab word, use context clues to make a guess at the word. And you can write right on the line. Although he didn't want it, Cruz reluctantly accepted the money. The truth was he needed it. Okay, so reluctantly, what's the clue word in that example for reluctant? Okay, if you said didn't want, that would be a good clue. So therefore, if you're reluctant, it means you're kind of hesitant. You don't really want it. But he needed it, so he took it. 5 turnovers, 4 missed free throws, Carter corrected. We're talking about fundamentals. Until we add that, we're adding more practices. Fundamentals. So it must be some kind of skills, because if you need more practice, you must not have the right skills yet. So more practices to get down the fundamentals. So must mean skills. And the last one, when their former teammate Cruz asked Coach what he had to do to join the team again, the team were riveted to their spots, staring at Cruz because they wanted to see what would happen. Riveted. What's a clue word in that one that shows riveted? Is it kind of like, oh, who cares? Or how are they seated? Everybody show me what riveted would look like. Like, paying attention. Can't wait to see. Okay, so riveted means to sit really still and showing attention in their spots. Okay, So at this time, you can go on to your vocabulary if you are done with the 47 through 53 and 51 through 62. Don't forget to put the date on it. So it'd be 10-5 or 10-6, and then moving on to vocab. While you're finishing warm-ups, I just wanted to remind you that each warm-up is worth 3 points. So your warm-ups are due next time through pages 69 through 74, so at the top of the next page on warm-ups. That would be 30 points for your warm-ups because you get 3 points per warm-up. So 3 points per little area. So if it's all completed, you get 3 for that little area, 2 if it's partially completed, 1 very little completed, and 0 not at all completed. Those are due the next time you come for 30 points. And again, it's after the 69 through 74 warm-up. That would be for 30 points. Are there any questions on warm-ups and being graded? You'll just show me yours, and if it's done, you'll get the 30 throughout the whole thing. Okay, so that is the end of warm-up time. So now I'm going to go on to our next section, which is the book study sheets. Okay, the book study sheets. And if you go, I'm also going to give you a handout right now for the book study sheets, but I wanted to see if I shared them with you as well online, just in case we had to ever go into distance learning, you would still have them online. So this has to do with another part of your grade for book study sheets. Of course, it'd be in the independent reading because you're reading your own book. And then there's some activities to do with your reading. Not only are you filling out the Pages Read daily document, which I talked about before, but if you go down to this green folder where it says book study sheets, I'm also going to hand them to you now. Okay, so I will hand them out. So they look like this. Okay, there's an assignment sheet number 1. It also is the same as this one shown on the screen here, book study assignment sheet 1. Okay, so that's your first one. And then there's a 2, and you can look at yours with me. Assignment sheet 2. And then there is a 3, 4. Okay, so that's 2 of them in 1. And then there's a 5 through 8. 5 through 8. Okay, again, that's 4 assignments on one sheet. So if you look at the first assignment sheet, it says, write down the title of your book, your name, and due date. You can keep these sheets at home and work on them at home, okay, because you're going to get quite a few points for them. It says, from the list below, complete each activity that has a star by it. So for this first sheet, you have to do numbers 1 and 6. Select 2 of the other activities and complete them. So you can pick 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7. Clip this sheet to your completed activities before you hand them in. So you're going to keep these together and you're going to give them to me when they're due, which I'll talk about in a moment, at the end, and I'll give you a scoring rubric that goes with them. So if you look at this sheet here, it says, apply the vocab process to 5 or more words from this book. So you would do exactly what that says on a piece of paper or on the back of this sheet. Pick 5 words, put down the word, the prefix, suffix, root, make a guess at the definition, look the definition up, think of other words that use parts of the word, and then use that word in a sentence and one of your other words in a sentence, just like you've been doing for vocabulary. Number 6, write 3 or 4 sentences that reflect your thoughts about the book on the lines down below where it says reflection statement, rate the book 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. Okay, so you do numbers 1 and 6 for sure. Number 1 you can do on the back of the sheet. And then you pick 2 more other activities, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7, okay, and mark those as you work through. So once you finish book sheet 1, okay, then you just go on to book sheet number 2 as you're reading your own book. So the second book sheet can go with the same book that you're reading at home. It says again, complete the 2 starred below and 2 other activities. So you have to do number 3, select and complete one of the following. Apply the clue steps 5 different times to a section of the book. Select 5 unknown words from the book and apply the part steps. Write about a character's hopes, dreams, fears, and expectations for the future. So what I want you to do is think about clues 5 times, like make a prediction and what was a clue that you said that. Then select 5 unknown words from the book and apply the part steps. You don't know what that is at this time, so you can skip that. So you can just do the clue and then write about a character's hopes, dreams, fears, and expectations. And then number 6, write 3 or 4 sentences that reflect your thoughts under reflection. And then do 2 other parts of your choice. Again, that is a handout that I've given you. It's also under the book study assignment sheets should we happen to go into total distance learning. And these can be worked on anytime while you're reading your own book and filling out your words read document. Then there's assignment sheet 3-4. Okay, again, it's numbers 3 and 4, and then you can pick 2 other activities that are listed here. Same thing, you don't have to apply the clue steps, or no, you don't have to include 5 unknown words and apply the part steps. Okay, so really all that means is finding 5 words and telling the prefix, maybe the root word, and then try to use your word in a sentence. Okay. And the last sheet is sheet 5, 6, 7, 8. Complete all of the activities for your book. And then you are done with the assignment sheets. So if you look up on my screen here, these book study sheets, okay, they are all under independent reading in the green folder. Okay, so these book study sheets, they're not due in September, obviously, and they're not due in October, okay, but they're going to be due later in November. I haven't actually given them a due date yet, but it'll be later in November. So you should be working on your book study sheets and trying to complete them as you go through. So I'm not exactly sure of a due date. I might have assignment sheet 1 due a certain time, 2 a certain time, 3, 4 a certain time, and 5 through 8. I'll probably break it up like that. But start those, okay? So keep those at home and working through those. The final one will be due on November 20th. All right, so the expectation is to read the book, complete the assignment sheets, staple them together, which I already did for you. I'll give you a scoring rubric, and then you will be graded on your sheets. Okay, vocab, list 1. Remember, it's a PDF in the vocab folder, and you should be working through all of your vocab words for set 1 vocab, because you have a quiz on them next time. So today I'm going to get moving along here with our reading. We are making a goal, and then you will have some time to work at vocab after reading today. We talked about the prediction strategy. Remember, you look for clues about why you would make the prediction you make. You link it to prior knowledge, so connection, and then tell a prediction and evaluate it. So read on to see if you're correct. Some of the Coach Carter vocab words today. If you're determined or determination, you're really set out to want to do that. Determined or determination, thinking, I'm going to do this. Disciplinary. So if you have discipline, somebody's strict, right? So like Coach Carter is a disciplinary. He makes some rules and he holds the boys accountable. And fundamentals would be kind of just skills, like there's certain fundamental skills for basketball. So at this time, I'm going to review chapter 5, which was from the last time. Okay, so chapter 5 from the last time that we read. Damien wants to go uptown with the boys. He does not convince his dad, and Tanya disagrees with Carter and thinks she should listen before making decisions with Damien. So at this time, you can close your binders and you can get out your Coach Carter book. Damien is upset he doesn't get to go out with his teammates. While uptown, the boys run into Cruz and then head to the hamburger joint. Cruz's cousin Rennie shows up and gives Rennie a few bills. Doesn't give Rennie a few bills. Cruz gives Rennie money, and then Rennie gives him some back. But Rennie gives him cocaine, and he hides it in his hat. Cruz does. Cruz shows up to practice to try and get back on the team. Coach Carter gives him a lot of push-ups and suicides to do by Friday, which is near impossible. Cruz keeps trying, and Carter will not back down. We wonder if Cruz will ever get to be on the team again. Coach Carter makes some new moves with the boys with the other female names like Linda, Cookie, Ernestine. The boys made fun of Carter's mom because they have like 7 sisters. This ticked the coach off and he made them do more, 20 suicides for Lyle and Worm because they were making fun of their mom. The boys learned you don't make fun of someone's mother. Okay, so we are on page 63 at this time in Coach Carter, chapter 6. That was a review of our last reading. We're going to think about making predictions. And I predict, of course, that the coach is going to make the boys come to more practices. He's going to show them a lesson because they were making fun of his mom. So we're on page 63. It was the end of a long week of practices, and the team was straggling, hanging around the gym. Some of the guys were practicing free throws as the others watched Cruz try to finish up his assignment. Mr. Cruz, Carter said, I'm impressed with your effort, but we've got a game tomorrow, and you came up short. 500 push-ups and 80 suicides. Please leave my gym. Carter turned to the rest of the team. Okay, gentlemen, that's it for today. Coat and tie tomorrow. Snapping closed his notebook, Carter started for the door. So you should make a prediction. Do you think Cruz is actually going to leave, or is he going to try to talk him into something else? Lyle stared dumbly at Cruz, who was standing there drenched with sweat and drained by his effort. That was it? After everything Cruz had done? After nearly killing himself to join the team? Top of page 64. Carter was just going to cut him loose like that? It didn't seem right. Before he even knew what he was doing, Lyle piped up, I'll do push-ups for him. Carter turned back, giving Lyle a questioning look. I don't think Carter would accept that. You said we were a team, Lyle explained. One player struggles, we all struggle. One player triumphs, we all triumph. Carter's eyebrows lifted. He was interested in what Lyle had to say, because Lyle did kind of have a point there. I'll do some and some suicides too, Kenyon volunteered. So you kind of can tell that the teammates want Cruz back. Lyle had already dropped and started the push-ups, so Kenyon started running. After a moment, Junior had joined Kenyon, and so had Damien. Cruz, exhausted and barely able to walk, limped to the baseline and joined his teammates. Carter just stood there watching the boys come together as a team. He wasn't about to do anything to stop it. Bottom of 64. So he's pretty impressed. Come on, the team shouted as Lyle and Cruz ran the last 2 suicides together. This is it! You did it! The team exchanged exhausted hand slaps as they crossed the baseline. Cruz flopped flat on his back, spent. To the baseline, Carter shouted. Jumping to the baseline, the team prepared to run. Just Mr. Cruz. The team shuffled away reluctantly as the worn-out Cruz struggled to stand at the line. So reluctantly if they had to kind of go away and they wanted to support him, would be kind of like, I don't really want to, but I have to. Carter stepped right up to him. "What's your deepest fear, Mr. Cruz?" Carter bellowed. "Is it your light, not your darkness, that most frightens you?" Cruz pressed his lips together, grimly preparing for the worst. Drawing his hands from behind his back, Carter draped a jersey over Cruz's sweaty shoulder. "Welcome to this team, Mr. Cruz." Taking a deep breath, Cruz held up the Richmond jersey as the players swarmed him. He had earned it. They had earned it together. So he did let him back on the team. It was the middle of the next game, and Richmond was tackling Kennedy, their toughest opponent yet. Damian set a pick, and Junior rolled off his man in time to catch Kenyon's pass. With a quick spin, Junior hit the reverse dunk, hanging on the rim a second longer than necessary. Just then, Worm fouled a Kennedy guard, his fifth. Carter looked at the bench and spotted Cruz studying the court. "Mr. Cruz!" Cruz trotted over to the coach. "What's your deepest fear, young man?" Carter asked. Giving Carter a confused look, Cruz jogged out onto the court to take Worm's place. Lyle gave Maddox a sideways glance. "Why does he keep saying that?" Lyle asked. "What's his deepest fear?" Maddox just shook his head. Nobody understood Coach Carter. The man was a straight-up mystery. "So what do you think he means by what's his deepest fear?" Cruz ran up court on offense, grabbed Kenyon's pass, and buried an 18-footer. Cruz smiled as he sank the shot. He was back home. A few weeks later, the Richmond gym was hopping. The place was packed, throbbing with excitement over the big game against Xavier. But one person was not shouting with joy. "Coach Carter!" Worm's mom shouted from the bleachers. "Why my boy not playing? Put Worm in the game. Put him in." Top of page 67. So you might wonder, why isn't Worm playing? But Carter didn't even glance in her direction. Worm owed him push-ups. He wouldn't play until he had finished them. At halftime, Richmond was up by 6. "Let's start the second half with Diane," Carter said to his team as they clustered around him in the locker room. "Lyle, watch the back door cutter on the weak side. Keep the pressure on." A despairing grunt caught Carter's attention, and he turned to see Worm collapse on his last few push-ups. Rolling onto his back, Worm shook his head in frustration. "Keep your focus," Carter said, turning back to the team. "Keep pushing the ball on every opportunity. On Cookie, stay patient. Screeners, seal your man and look for the slip pass. Remember on the secondary break." But Carter didn't get to finish his sentence because at the moment, Worm's mom burst into the locker room. "Mr. Carter?" she demanded, glaring at the coach. "Ma'am," Carter said respectfully, "it's the men's locker room." "Well, you could have fooled me," she huffed. "What is this? Why, my boy ain't playing." Top of 68. "He owes the team some push-ups," Carter explained. "Team rules." Worm's mother wheeled on her son. "Jaren?" "It's my fault," Worm admitted. "I deserved 'em." Carter nodded at Worm, secretly pleased. But Worm's mama didn't budge. "How many's he got left?" "About 20, ma'am." The heavy woman placed her purse gently on the bench, gathered her voluminous skirts, and knelt onto the locker room floor. Carter's eyes bulged. "Ma'am?" "Count 'em off," Worm's mother commanded. Slowly, painfully, the large woman heaved herself into a push-up. "1," Carter said. Worm's mother struggled for number 2. 19, Carter said, cutting the heavy-set woman some serious slack. Dropping to the floor, Worm pressed out the final push-up. 20! Worm hooted, throwing his arm around his winded mom. "Mrs. Worm, this young man is lucky to have you," Carter said. "Damn straight he is," Worm's mama agreed. Top of 69. "Listen, Shorty, I'ma be really real with you," Lyle said to a pretty girl in the empty hallway. "You're my girl. When I'm on the court and the pressure's tough, I think about you, baby girl." The girl's face lit up as Lyle leaned in for a kiss. "Mr. Lyle," said a voice behind him, "why aren't you in geometry class?" Lyle looked up to see Coach Carter frowning down at the master's schedule. Ooh, so maybe he's going to get in a little trouble hanging out with his girl. Lyle gulped. "I'm on my way there now, sir," he said quickly, slinging his arm around the girl. "Sir, this is Betty." "Bella," the girl corrected. "Bella, sir," Lyle said nervously. "This is Bella." After another moment, Lyle retreated, shuffling off to geometry reluctantly. Later, as he was walking across the quad, Carter came across Worm, Kenyon, and Cruz helping 3 girls make banners for the winter dance. Carter frowned at his players. I know you all have classes right now. Why aren't you there? Coach, Worm said with a cocky grin, we're 9-0, and, well, the teachers let us slide. Get to class, Carter barked. Now! The coach grabbed Kenyon by the elbow as the other 2 boys scurried away. I need to talk to you. What are you doing? I spoke to your guidance counselor, Miss Calloway. Kenyon stared at his feet. Look at me, sir, Carter commanded. She showed me your grades. You're carrying a 3.3 GPA with A's in history and English, and you're out here cutting class? Kenyon, you got your whole life ahead of you, and what you make of it is up to you. There's nothing you can't achieve if you want to. Well, yeah, Kenyon mumbled, but do you know how smart you are? Carter demanded. Sir, look me in the eye. You've got a serious gift up here. The coach pointed to his head. And with the ability on the court, colleges will line up to pay for your education. Do you understand this opportunity? So he's getting after the boys because they think they can slack because they've been winning and their grades are up. And he tells them to get to class. Yeah, Kenyon admitted, unable to meet the coach's eye. But I got a lot on my mind right now. Kenyon, there are people ready to help you with your future. Myself and Miss Calloway. Carter's voice was gentle. Just tell us how we can help. Kenyon looked away. He just couldn't tell the coach about Kyra and the baby. It was too much. You all right? Carter asked. Kenyon nodded. Okay, Carter said finally. Get to class. Surprise arrival to the poll is Richmond High at 19th. Kenyon read aloud from the newspaper as his teammates clustered on the bleachers around him. The Oilers, having posted a perfect 9-0, mark winning on the road against perennial powerhouses Xavier and Baxter Union. Wait, Junior, you should read this, man. They blow you up, kid. Junior took the paper hesitantly. Richmond Center has been big, he read slowly, as the Oilers are buoyed. Buoyed? Buoyed! Buoyed! Carter shouted from behind the team. Buoyed! Junior felt his face burning as he read on. Buoyed by Junior Battle's 19.8 rebound a night numbers? That's my big nigga, Worm crowed. He any bigger. He be my bigger nigga. Sit down, Carter commanded as the team laughed and slapped heads. Sit down. That is a derogatory term used to insult your ancestors. Shocked into silence, the team sat, staring at their coach. If a white man uses it, you're ready to fight him, Carter went on. If you use it, you teach him to use it, too. You're saying you don't mind? Well, I mind, so knock it off. Mr. Lyle, what is it that you want out of this basketball season? To win the state championship, Lyle said breezily. The team backed him up, slapping hands. Carter scowled. Mr. Lyle, who won the state championship last year? Hell if I know, sir, Lyle grinned. Mr. Lyle, what does your father do for a living? Carter demanded. Lyle's smile evaporated, so it kind of went off. My father's in jail. The team fell silent. I'm sorry, young man, Carter said finally, but that doesn't have to be your life. I have 4 seniors, Battle, Lyle, Kenyon, and Worm, all of whom I believe can play basketball at the college level. College is a realistic option for you, but you must perform in the classroom to have a chance. Have some vision. Where do you see yourself? ESPN, Junior cracked, tossing a basketball into the air and catching it easily. So we're at the top of page 73, and the coach is telling him how much hope he has in all of them for college. Mr. Battle, I spoke to Mr. Giesick today, who told me that he rarely sees you in class, Carter said. Junior shrugged. Yeah, we cool, though. Me and him. Mr. Giesick's a big basketball fan. As of now, you are on suspension, Carter informed him. You can practice, but you will not play in games until I know from Mr. Giesick that you're caught up in his class. Junior's eyes bulged in shock, which is a word to the rest of this team, Carter went on. You signed a contract, you made a commitment. I have your schedules. I will be hearing from your teachers. If you're not performing in the classroom, you will not play. Sit down, Mr. Battle. Junior slammed the basketball so hard that it bounced against the ceiling. 250 push-ups, Mr. Battle Carter said coolly. You can start now. This isn't fair, Junior snapped. We won those games, not you. 500, Mr. Battle. Please sit. Junior hesitated. Top of 74. 1,000, Carter shouted. You want to try for 2? Sneering, Junior spun on his heel and headed for the door. Young man, Carter called after him, think about the decision you're making by walking out the door. Junior turned long enough to give Carter a final glare before he slammed out. So you should be wondering, is Junior going to be able to come back? Is he going to regret his decision that he left the group? How is he going to feel? So Carter's catching up with the boys, and he's keeping track of them in their classes, and he doesn't care what their winning or losing streak is. If they're not doing well in school, he's going to get after them. So you should be wondering what's going to happen now with Junior as he walked away, ticked off that he doesn't get to play until he makes it to Mr. Giesick's class. So I'm going to stop the video here, and at this time, you should continue on working on your vocab. Okay, so working on set 1 vocab, get out your steno pad and open up the PDF for the words on your Chromebook in the vocabulary folder.